My dear soul sister. I always thought I was someone with bad luck. When I was little, my artwork for a painting competition was mysteriously lost by the teacher, and the winner turned out to be the girl who sat behind me, Lin Yuru. I always just missed the top scores in exams, while Yuru always nailed the key points and effortlessly took home the scholarships. I never thought she did anything wrong. She would always hand me a hot drink when I was down and hug me gently, saying, "It's okay, you tried your best." I was grateful to her. In those gray stretches of my life, she was a warm light. She was my best friend, my one and only emotional anchor in this life. It wasn't until much later that I realized. That light was the flame that had been burning through my life all along. From middle school to university, Lin Yuru and I were inseparable. She was the class beauty, the academic star, the girl everyone admired. And I was always the sidekick. But I didn't mind. She never distanced herself because I was ordinary. In fact, whenever someone mocked me for being average, she was the first to speak up. "She's my best friend. She's kinder than anyone." Back then, I truly believed that having a friend like her was the greatest gift life could offer. After graduation, I got a job at an advertising firm. Through hard work and creativity, I started gaining recognition. Yuru said she wanted to switch careers to marketing too. She laughed, "Working with you again feels like going back to school days." I handed her resume in for her. She got the job and ended up in the same department as me. I shared my project ideas with her and asked for her input. She always listened intently and would say, "This part doesn't quite hit. Want me to help polish it a bit?" I was moved and thought, how lucky I was to have her. But when I was scheduled to present that proposal to my manager, he said flatly, "Yuru already submitted it. We're going with her version." I was stunned. I opened her slides. It was my concept, nearly word for word. She just smiled and said, "Sorry. I only helped tweak it a bit, didn't expect the boss to like it so much. But hey, we're a team, right?" I forced a smile, pushing down the knot in my chest. I kept telling myself, she didn't mean any harm. She's just really talented. Even the fiancé I had dated for years, I met through her. She said, "He looks a little distant, but he's really good to you. I feel like you two will be happy." I really believed that even though life had been rocky, with Yuru by my side, I'd never fall. Until that day. The company announced a promotion. I had been the front runner all along. But the name that appeared was Lin Yuru's. Still reeling from the shock, I got a call from her. "Sorry. I don't know why it ended up being me. But don't worry, I'll put in a good word for you." I forced a laugh. "It's fine." That night, at home, I idly browsed through my fiancé's phone. In a medical insurance record, under spouse, was the name Lin Yuru. I froze. I dug deeper into his identity. That night, I stormed to Yuru's place and demanded answers. She looked innocent. "You've always thought you weren't good enough, right? I just helped you realize it sooner. Do you know how enviable your life was? Since we were kids, everyone said you had talent, had potential. But you were just too naive." She smiled calmly, more terrifying than any venom. "I only made slight corrections to fate. Those opportunities were never really yours." That moment, I realized. I had handed the keys to my life to a snake. I had lost my promotion. Lost my lover. Lost the trust one had held most dear since youth. And lost myself. Until I met Chinyu. He worked at the construction company we partnered with. Yuru had once introduced him to me, saying he was just some blue-collar bricklayer. She laughed at his rough hands. I hadn't paid much attention. But during a collaboration, he invited me out for coffee, polite, sincere, and professional. Later, I found out he was actually the founder of that firm. A young, successful architect in the industry. He told me he had dated Yuru once. Used as a handyman, he designed her thesis cover, wrote her autobiography, helped her build connections. In the end, she dumped him with, "You're not good enough for me." He chuckled. Seems like we were both her stepping stones. We teamed up for revenge. I presented proof of how she had plagiarized my work. Every record of her stealing my ideas was submitted to upper management. Chen Yu released a voice recording where Yuru boasted about her manipulations. How she tricked the boss into believing she was more capable. She was fired. Her image shattered. Word spread quickly, no one would hire her. She tried to cling to the last thing she had, my ex-fiancé. But what she didn't know was, he wasn't some rich heir. He was a PUA. A con man who used women for money and sex, living off their bodies and bank accounts. He drained her savings, made her sign massive loans as investments. In the end, rumors said she was trafficked to Southeast Asia by him, never to be seen again. As for me, I stood back up. Chen Yu and I started our own creative architectural brand. He was the most understanding, gentle, and strong man I had ever met. We slowly fell in love. Together, we built a new future from the ashes of the past. But sometimes, in the dead of night, I still dream of Yuru's face. That face, smiling sincerely, yet laced with knives. Perhaps the scariest thing in life isn't your enemy. It's the evil that wears kindness as a mask. The end. Do you really know your best friend?
Alright, today's story ends here. Wishing all our dear listeners and viewers a peaceful and restful night. If you could leave a like, a positive review, and subscribe, your wishes will surely come true, and fortune will follow. Good night.